Hello everyone, welcome back to Not the Power Rangers, the only show on the internet that recognizes that white men can also make tokusatsu. My name's Alsace, and today we're watching Captain Power. Once again, thank you to Ninja Mafia Entertainment for recommending this episode. If you have a show that you want me to cover, or if you want to recommend a specific episode of a show that we've already covered, feel free to mention in the comments down below. I've been thinking about going back and looking at some weird filler episodes in some American Toku. I thought it'd be interesting, but I don't know. You tell me what you think. Anyways, as I said earlier, we're watching Captain Power. This is actually a Canadian tokusatsu, if you can call that a tokusatsu. Does that count? It was a show that was meant to appeal to both children and adults through selling toys and having a sort of deep kind of story. I found this one to be super interesting because when Homeboy recommended it, I noticed that this one was like an 80s show, which is far before the Power Rangers ever existed. So I thought it'd be interesting if we could find some similarities between the two shows, if there are any. It ran for about 22 episodes and had a toy line produced by Mattel. The toys kinda look like standard Army Men, G.I. Joe type figures with a little hint of like Star Wars and like stuff like that in there. The show is also interesting because it was the center of like quite a bit of controversy back in the day. Much like the Power Rangers, it was considered way too violent for kids. But unlike the Power Rangers, it never became popular enough to outlive those criticisms. That's kind of what ultimately led to the show's demise and is a major reason as to why we never got a second season, from what I can tell. What's cool though is that plot summaries for 18 of the 22 episodes that were planned for the second season actually exist on the internet. You could find it on like Wikipedias and stuff. So that's pretty dope if that was something that you were interested in. I also found this really interesting article from the Christian Science Monitor, which is the first and last time I'll probably ever say that sentence. It talks about how the show was like poisoning the youth by basically being a big long toy commercial. It describes the show as being an interactive medium because youngsters watching the show can aim toy jets that cost about $35 at the bad guys at the home television screens and tally up hits. I found this to be really interesting because this is basically the model for how all tokusatsu shows make their money. Like whether you like to admit it or not, the main purpose of all of the shows that you love is to sell toys, and clearly it works. So it's just neat to see religious people get all up in arms about it. So with that in mind, this should be fun. So the first episode starts with some major 80s cheese vibes.
Power on.
Captain Power and the soldiers of the future.
After that, it cuts to this monologue explaining the entire backstory behind the show.
Earth 2147. The legacy of the Metal Wars, when man fought machine and machines won.
In summary, it's kind of like the plot to Power Rangers RPM, where the characters live in a post-apocalyptic society that's overrun by human-killing robots. And basically, there's only a handful of humans left, but they're all being digitized by some robots. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. And basically, it's up to a team of 5 individuals with special suits of armor to defend the last remaining humans on the planet. Also, I think this is the same font that was used in Lost Galaxy and In Space. I can't really tell. I didn't really bother to double check before filming this, even though I probably should have. That should have been my job. We'll see. And on top of that, the main mastermind behind the entire empire is Lord Dread.
Lord Dread, feared ruler of this new order.
Like, do I even have to say it? Like, I'm already getting some major 90s Saban vibes from everything that's going on here, even though the show existed way before the Power Rangers. So, like, this is definitely not the Power Rangers.
Bruh.
But it feels like it, right? It opens with one of the main characters, Scout, infiltrating the base of Lord Dredd using some espionage technology. It seems as though everyone on the team has like a special skill or like a particular role. They mention it in the opening monologue, but I'm sure since this is the first episode that we'll see them all at some point, so I don't really feel the need to list them off. So basically, Scout can't leave the enemy base because the door's locked, but it's okay because all they had to do to unlock it was just blow up the entire fucking building. Off rip, a major downside for this show is that I can't really tell any of the suits apart from one another. I feel like this is how normal people feel watching Tokusatsu, you know what I mean? Like, even the main character's suits feels super bland to me, and maybe that's because they're not color-coded and my weak little noggin just can't handle things that aren't color-coded, but like, goddamn, they all look the same to me. After this, we see Lord Dredd. Saying that out loud just still doesn't feel right. But I guess Captain Power and friends have been foiling his schemes for quite some time now, but I don't know. I feel like I'm jumping in blind here. I feel like I know there was an opening monologue earlier, but this whole first episode just feels super clunky to me. I already feel like I'm missing something. I can't really describe it. It cuts to 4 old white men discussing computer science. I don't know. Captain Powers gets a message from some bitch named Athena from San Francisco. I feel as though we should know who she is, but I don't. Captain Powers also has a Zordon-like mentor. His name is Mentor.
Mentor, online, Captain.
Like, he's in the tube and everything, and I'm like really starting to get weirded out watching this. So Athena was the captain's pop's lab assistant who used to beat his ass at chess back in the day, and I imagine she gives bomb-ass head because Captain Powers literally drops everything to go find this bitch.
San Fran.
I can't believe the devastation.
Me neither, Captain Powers. I'm just as shocked as you are. So Captain Powers and this chick named Pilot, who's the pilot, leave the ship and split up to find Homegirl, and Captain Powers specifically tells Pilot to not bring her power suit, just for her to immediately collapse moments after walking out of the ship, and for Captain Powers to summon his power suit in the same amount of time that it took for her to fall over. Captain Powers finds a chess game and starts having flashbacks about Athena, and then this happens.
It's good to see you, Johnny.
Athena? What?
Which is just lovely. Like, he was so hyped to see the chick, and she just shut up. That was great. Pilot wakes up when she hears another character, Hawk, calling her from the spaceship, which implies that she didn't even take 3 steps away from the damn thing before getting knocked out. After that, Athena explains how she was digitized by Lord Dredd, and she explains being digitized as like basically being tortured in solitary confinement. The only reason why she was released to begin with was so that she could bait out Captain Power, because as we all know, she gives bomb-ass head. Also, Lord Dredd sent this fucking CGI mess to digitize all of them together, but Captain's squad shows up and partakes in a pretty neat dogfight scene to take him out. After that, they go back to the command center, for lack of a better term, and they play a game of chess, which is kind of sweet.
King's knight to King's bishop 3.
Aggressive.
It's the only way to win.
But I'm still lost. I know I stated earlier that this show was meant to target both children and adults, but based off this first episode, I can't help but feel like the show is incredibly episodic. For a first episode, this show did a horrible job at introducing any of the characters, their backstory, and why they're even here to begin with. I feel like I'm missing so much so that I was actually convinced that this wasn't the first actual episode, and I was sure that the source I found this off of was completely wrong. But no, this is the first episode of Captain Power, and honestly, would I watch more? Like, sure. I mean, it seems like something easy to have on in the background while you're waiting at the dentist office, but I don't think I would ever go out of my way to watch this show, or at the very least, not based off of this first episode, because I still feel like this show is super interesting, and I feel like I would be super interested in all of this if this was like episode 3 or 4, but apparently Athena never shows up in the show after this point. She's just like a one-off character from what I've read, and personally I feel like a show's pilot should set the foundation for the characters you're gonna follow throughout the entirety of the series. Like, it seems pointless to me. Like, why would we focus so heavily on a side character for episode 1? Overall, it's a good episode. It's just not a good pilot. There's nothing here to hook me or keep me interested. Anyways, join me next time for Not the Power Rangers, where we'll be talking about the 4Kids dub of Ultraman Tiga. I feel like this one should be a lot of fun. Shout out to Jamie Martinez for requesting this one on the Tattooed Teenage Alien Fighters video. As I said earlier, feel free to comment stuff in the comment section. I'd love to read them and see what you have to say on what I should do next. I know I haven't been uploading as often, and I know many of you probably haven't even noticed, but it's cool. Hopefully we can get back to the normal soon. Just like online classes and this, that, and the other, and a bunch of stuff have been happening, and it's been hard for me to adapt a little bit, but hopefully we'll get back on track. Bye bye.